Somewhere. Oh, yes. I should mention we would like to record the presentation part of this meeting, but the Q&A section later on will not be recorded. So just so you know. I wanted just to have a little feel for the room. Can I have a raise of hands for those that have attended the beta launch where we had a sort of a sneak preview of the knowledge base back in April, or have you already used the knowledge base in some shape or form? So a few raised hands, but most of you haven't, so that's good to know. Um, then I'll just start by giving a very brief introduction about the RDA Tiger project, in which the knowledge base has been developed. So this is a Horizon Europe funded project that aims to support RDA working groups in their work, helping them align, harmonize, and standardize open science developments. And essentially, this support is provided through four main pillars, which you see to your right. And that includes in-kind support, the engagement with external experts, and cascading grants. But what we're here to talk about today is, of course, the knowledge base, which is this suite of tools, which we'll go into in a bit, that provides various services for RDA members, but specifically for working groups. And just to get a very brief overview of the agenda here, we're going to go through the different components of the knowledge base one by one, and then we have some time for feedback and questions. And afterwards, as you might have seen, we will also have a working group workshop for those of you who are working in working groups or are curious about different ways that the knowledge base can be tailored to the needs of working groups. But to start off with some background on the knowledge base. So the need for the knowledge base came from the fact that the corpus of the RDA had grown rather organically, bottom up, historically speaking. And this resulted in outputs being rather spread between different platforms, including the RDA website, of course, Zenodo, but other third-party websites as well. Now Zenodo is, of course, preferred, and this has all been quite streamlined, but there's still some streamlining to do. So that's where the knowledge base comes in, essentially. And we did this by consolidating the different resources that I just mentioned into a database, which we call the RDA graph, and which Alessandra will talk a bit more about in a bit. And this essentially contains a disambiguated, deduplicated copy of each resource group, etc., associated with the RDA, as well as some RDA-related, but not specifically RDA-produced outputs as well, including vocabularies that we can use to tag different resources. And so the graph is then one of these four components of the suite of services called the knowledge base. And these essentially connect to the RDA websites, Zenodo, and other sources of RDA outputs, and consolidates them within the RDA graph, which then also connects to these other tools that we will talk about in a second. The RDA discovery, which is used to browse and search the database. The publisher, which is used to publish new outputs using RDA vocabulary. And then finally, the annotator, which is used to annotate web-based materials using RDA vocabulary. And just is a little bit more on the sort of motivation behind this, which is that in the last 5 years, there have been almost 1 billion euros spent on FAIR-related projects in the European Union. And so a massive amount of activity involved. And of course, this results in a lot of resources that might not be very easy to identify. So this is also a motivation here to make those resources more available, let's say, to RDA members and to connect them to RDA vocabularies, groups, resources, etc. And with that, I'll hand over to Lawrence, who will talk you through discovery and the annotator tool.
Thank you. And let me share my screen.
I'll just stop sharing there.
Yeah. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, firstly, I'll walk through the search and discovery facility. In a sense, this can be considered an overview of the deposits or publications made by RDA. This overview also contains annotations, which I will come to later. And in a sense, you can just see this as a way to filter and drill down into RDA resources to discover resources that are interesting to you. So, for example, I could search for a specific working group, and then it will filter down, and then I can, for example, say only resources with that working group and the subject, for example, code data. Well, then it shows me that there's 3 related resources that match this criteria, and then I can go and review those results. I get a quick list of the resources, which I can then further inspect and also filter further if I want. And if I then inspect one, I simply get an overview of the metadata of this resource. It contains all kinds of RDA tailored vocabularies, as well as a link that traces to the actual resource itself, most of which will be in Zenodo. So here we can then link to the resource in Zenodo. The thing that makes this quite nice is that when filtered, you can save your searches or your filters and then share these. This is also a way that we can embed the overview or dashboard so that people who search or working groups, for example, who want a specific overview tailored to their working group, they can, for example, share a link that automatically filters on a specific working group. So this makes it quite reusable and shareable for people who have a desire for specific resources. And then, of course, you can select it. There's a few facets. We have pie charts, bar charts, lookup lists, which, of course, can just be typed. So we can pair, for example. And then, as you can see here in the bottom, we have 2 different types of resources: deposits, which are official publications, and annotate, for the most part, and annotations, which are generated by the RDA annotator tool, and that I will show later. Then the second part of this tool is the publisher. Yeah. And the publisher is, in a sense, a curated way for RDA to publish their resources to, for example, Zenodo and potentially also other repositories in a controlled manner. One of the bigger challenges that was seen was that a lot of the metadata attached to the publications were free text, which in a sense would allow for duplicates of the same type of metadata, but written differently, which then again would make it less findable. And this publisher pretty much solved this by allowing a controlled form with controlled vocabulary. So we can be sure that once something is assigned or a certain metadata is assigned to a certain resource, that it will always be consistent across those resources, so it's traceable and findable. So just a quick example, I can go to coverage then, and I can search for certain working groups and then add them to it. I can then as well add files to this deposit. So all of it will get combined and published inside of Zenodo as a draft, should be noted. Which then would allow people to make quicker and more consistent publications. Am I missing anything here?
No, maybe just to mention that this is something we still have to agree on with the RDA Secretariat, the exact workflow of this, but that's in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But at least the proof of concept here does function and can show that there is potential in it. Then I will go to the RDA annotate. Actually, first, let me show this as well. There is a support drawer which contains guidance of all kinds of topics related to the knowledge base. Simply open it, click it, and it shows all kinds of documentation for most guidance that is needed. So that's also a quick thing to realize. Well, then the RDA annotator is a browser extension that will allow you to cite or annotate web resources and then add metadata to them, which will allow you to make them findable. And because they will also be deposited inside of this search facility, it will also make them searchable. So here I will just quickly set it up. You just simply click the download button. We are still in the process of publishing to the Chrome extension store, but the review process is quite lengthy. So for now, it's still the early version. I am seeing that I think I have not shared my entire screen. So let me real fast share.
Switch windows.
Yeah. Entire screen, allow. Okay, I think you can now see the file as well. Yeah. Okay. So simply clicking the button here will allow you to download the latest version of the annotator, which is a zip, and all you do is simply extract it. And then inside of the browser, you go to settings, the dots in the top right, which might differ per browser. Then you go to your extensions. Most browsers, because it is not yet released, will require you to turn on development mode, after which it's as simple as just load and unpack. And then you navigate to where you unpacked the annotator, simply pressing select inside of the directory of the annotator, and it's installed. After which I can now use the annotator. A recommendation is to pin it for easy use. And then by clicking it, it will inject the annotator. So this is the installation process, and then I will now quickly run to using it and making a quick test annotation. You also find some quick guidance on the application or the annotator's introduction. We can see that there is already an annotation on this page. So it will also find annotations on the current URI you are at. And to make an annotation, we will have to log in. I did see I was already logged in, so let me log out and log in, which then gives me a pop-up. Yeah. So I'm already logged into Orchid, but normally what would happen is just Orchid would pop up and I'll request you to log in. You simply log in with your Orchid and then you're authenticated. After which we can simply select some text. I'm just going to select the part here and I press annotate text, which will then select the text for annotation that you would like to cite, as well as some other metadata, such as where the resource is from, and behind the scenes, some minor things, such as when it's going to be created, on submission, of course. So it's also easier to be found. Then we just enrich this annotation with some metadata, in case there are some required fields, for example, title. So for now, I'm just going to name this test annotation. A lot of optional fields as well. Resource type is another required. I'm just going to call it a concept. And here then is a list of vocabularies for RDA, more specific. So for example, I can go to a random working group and just type ahead. I can type away. There are also multiple selects, so I can add as many as I want for kinds of places, so I can add them. After which I can also then save my choices for the vocabulary components. This is for if you're annotating in bulk. Let's say you're doing some kind of initial research, or for a certain topic, you're making a lot of annotations and citing a lot of different web resources. This could be a handy feature to just not have to repetitively add vocabularies to it. After which we simply press create annotation. And as we can see, it should, I think it's this one. Pathways, I think. Or is it this? Yeah, as we can see, the pathways are added. And afterwards, we can also review this inside of the knowledge base itself. And it also links back then again to the annotator. Also nice is it also gives you an overview of your own annotations. And then maybe last, it's nice to see if we were to go to settings, a lot of the vocabularies are optional. So if you, and these will most likely be expanded over time as well. So should you not want to be overwhelmed with vocabularies, you can just save them, and then they should disappear, so they can be turned off. I think that's it.
Yeah, okay. Maybe good to mention that the idea here is that the annotator can be used, for example, when you're doing a landscape analysis. It makes it easy to to create added value for other working group members, for example, because most of the time when you do this kind of work, this landscape analysis, for example, you go through a lot of documents, but of course a lot of that work is not visible to the outside world. So this is a nice way to create added value in that process.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll just pass on to Alessandra to talk a little bit about the graph.
Yeah, so the graph, which is the underlying data to all these tools, has recently been updated to reflect the contents of the website better. Because, for example, if a new working group starts, or if new resources are published, they don't automatically end up in the graph data. So a recent effort to harmonize these two data sources has added about 3,000 new entries to the graph data. Most of these are users, but also like interest groups, working groups, the resources they produced, institutions. And it currently lives in a Postgres database here at Dons, where I use SQL queries to compare the website data with the knowledge base data, and then kind of find which records were missing or had to be updated. Another new addition is a deduplication step, because as Laura said before, a lot of the data is filled in kind of a free text field. So that can introduce errors or just different ways of naming, for example, an institution. With the help of a variety of clustering algorithms, the program OpenRefine and some manual curation, I have deduplicated and normalized about 500 institutions, I think. And that is kind of an ongoing process because, for example, users are notoriously difficult to deduplicate because you have to really verify, like, do these two entries, do they refer to the same person, or do these people have the same names? And we're also still currently working towards making these updates fully automated, because now you still have to, like, there's still humans involved in getting these updates and checking them. But the goal is to actually have that running and have it be updated daily, maybe weekly, depending on the field or the record. I think that's it for for the graphic side.
Right, thanks a lot. Right, then now we have some time for Q&A. I can imagine it's probably a lot to process, or if anything is unclear, if you have any follow-up questions on that, then yeah, please let us know. And we should also remember to turn off the recording here so you don't put you on the spot.